bit surprising. Just as surprising is my return to Calling the Audible. This is the Division E Calling the Audible. I am Piz Del Ruiz, returning as your host. I was at actually I work in school as the job that pays my bills, and not this one.
Makes two of us.
Yeah, there we go. So I had the honor to be at our business school students' graduation, and so therefore I decided to go to that instead of coming to the podcast. So Mokan filled in for me. I need to fill in for him as well. I believe it's the week of our anniversary, the day of our anniversary. So that's going to be interesting. But I mean, sleeping on the couch is kind of okay. It's like camping, right? It's just different.
Less mosquitoes, less bugs.
Yeah, and so
and more TV.
Definitely more TV. Definitely more. It's what makes camping good. If camping had TV, I would go camping all the time. Camping out to my left, of course, is Brent Botkin. He can be followed at Bad News 51. I, of course, can be followed at Piz Del Ruiz on at Piz FPF on Twitter. Those of you who message me on Facebook know you can reach me at Piz Del Ruiz, Brent Botkin. You use your real name on social media as well. And producing the show and providing pro tips on camping is Chapman at Master Control.
Yep, the guy who never did camping before, providing tips.
He can be found out wherever hot dogs are sold. Namely, and barbecue. Apparently, we were all discussing.
So we're getting barbecue after. It's decided, right?
I'd like to. Do you have a go-to barbecue spot in the city, Brent?
My backyard, to be honest.
My backyard, right? But you live near Bowfinger too, right?
Yeah, I do. Actually, yeah, I'm about 10 minutes away. So
Yeah.
I mean, if I want to pay for something, yeah, I'll go to Bowfinger.
I'm saying to go out to some place.
Yeah,
Obviously, yes. One's backyard is
barbecue connoisseur, if you will.
Good.
Yeah, usually Bowfinger. It's a pretty safe bet.
Right. I was there's a place in Verdun I went to. I don't know, a couple of years ago called Blackstrap. I really enjoyed that.
Solid.
Yeah, it's different. It's not saucy. A lot of vinegar-based sauces, like sort of like an East Carolina style, which is kind of interesting.
Nice. Yeah.
Chap and I were reminiscing of the old Ice House days. Ice House, previous owner Mike DePonte is now actually a chef at our cooking school. So
nice.
I'm happy to have him a little closer to home. But yeah, so that's the barbecue update for those of you watching for barbecue.
There's a place I want to
clearly
try.
That's why you tune into an FPF podcast. What?
There's a place I want to try. I think it's like downtown. It's called La Smoking, or maybe NDG. La Smoking Barbecue. I've heard good things.
Is it just like a commercial on TV?
I don't know. It's got that francophone kind of English name going for it.
That's the only
Smoking Barbecue. Just put a le in front of it.
That's the only thing you know about the place.
I haven't eaten there, so yeah, that's the only thing I know. Until I get there, that's all I will know.
It's pretty much like Notre Dame de Boeuf. Everyone calls it NDG beef. I was there actually yesterday for lunch.
Oh, how was that? How was that place?
It's awesome. I've only been to the one in NDG, but I mean, I know they opened one downtown on the Maisonneuve between Guy and St. Matthew. There's another one, too, that's opening up. I was reading in the paper the other day, but I mean, it's affordable. The burgers are great. A lot of good side dishes as well. And now they've even expanded. There's a bit of a salad menu, a vegetarian menu as well.
That's
pretty good.
Time.
Yeah, I think so too. But
garbage. That's what goes next to your food. That's not your food.
Yeah, I know. But the burger I got and the beer I got were pretty good.
Awesome. Did you happen to catch any games this week?
I caught a couple, actually, to be honest with you. And I just want to say before we jump into the games, if you're looking for me for camping advice, yeah, brothers don't go camping. I'm sorry.
Someone asked me once, like, do you want to come camping? And I said, when I look up at the stars, it needs to be the 5-star rating at the Hilton. That's the only.
Exactly.
That's the only time. So yeah, you can go camping. I'll just get a room.
There's a couple of the jokes you could throw in there too, but I feel you.
Yeah. So what are the games? What games?
Yeah, I caught last night the Greendale Human Beings against TBA. In my article, I picked TBA in my upset special, and I was kind of upset with the outcome of that game, especially the TBA fans and players should be as well. Losing 39-19. I mean, the Aylward show. Yeah. The brothers tore
Brandon Aylward, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns. He just shredded that TBA defense. Danny Aylward with his arm, with his legs. So he had a 24-yard TD run. He was on fire.
The thing with Danny Aylward is he doesn't look to be a particularly good athlete. He looks to be the trailer park uncle you hope to never have. But he's remarkable. He's really good at getting around. And you know what? He's learning to throw the ball well. He makes good reads. Not terribly surprised about this outcome. How much of it do you think that is that University of Toronto is a terrible football program?
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Is that why? Is it because the thing is like the Greendale Human Beings are guys who came up through the system, came up through FPF. So they really know our game really well. And like, you see a CIS quarterback in Division E, you start to panic a little bit, but this is a very different game.
No, definitely different game. What I saw out of Clay Segura is my first time like seeing him in extended action. I've maybe caught like the tail end of a game here and there, or the beginning of a game before one of mine. He has a strong arm. I think out of all the quarterbacks in this division, he probably has the strongest arm. He's able to move and throw at the same time, and he's accurate. The only problem I think with him is he falls in love with the deep ball too much. And I mean, obviously, if you're playing on an outdoor field, especially like a U Sports or CIS, if you will, field, it's a lot wider. It's a CFL field. Mm-hmm. You can make the throws across your body. You could do the deep patterns. Whereas obviously in FPF, it's a much smaller field. And I think for him, coming from U Sports or UFT and playing quarterback, not the deep throws aren't always there, especially with the field constrictions being what they are. And I think he struggled, especially last night. He went for the deep ball a lot. Yes, the Greendale human beings were in great coverage, but he overthrew a lot of his receivers. So I think for him, especially as the season goes on, the more experience he gets, is going to take him a bit of time, I think, to adjust. But eventually when he does, he'll be that much more better.
I hope so. Nothing, I mean, obviously throwing some shade at UFT, just a little Montreal-Toronto hate. But yeah. I will say I do wish nothing but for the best for Clay Segura. And you know what? I don't necessarily think we've never seen a quarterback come from, let's say, CIS or CJEP or wherever and immediately dominate an FPF anyway. So I think this is one of those things that we make a big deal about in weeks 1 through 5. But then as the season gets tougher and as the playoffs start, a lot of these teams are one and done or they falter down the line. A team faltering from every part of the line is the Rakens. They lose to Moss City 45-6. They get mossed, so to speak.
Nice.
4 quarterbacks have played quarterback, or they have attempted to, for the Rakens. 3 touchdown passes. How can we help? And what advice, if any of the Rakens are listening, what can we do to help?
Again, I believe I said this in a couple of articles this season. They need to decide on somebody to throw the rock for them. I mean, usually, actually, I'm looking at Simon Dagenet right now. We're going to talk about this later on the FPF Junior podcast about teams with multiple quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And at least in the adult division, it usually doesn't work out too well. And
that's the thing they say, too, even in NCAA and whatever. If you have more than one quarterback,
you don't have
one at all.
There exactly. You go. The NFL, the CFL, and NCAA, you're absolutely right. U Sports. And, I mean, these guys, as you mentioned throughout the season, they've had, I believe it is, they've had 4 quarterbacks. I mean, I can't even say there's one guy who's better than the next. The highest touchdown passes that each player has is 1. Mm-hmm.
And there's 3. There's been more quarterbacks than touchdown passes.
Yeah.
So what?
That's exactly it.
What play calls? What do you think we can do to just do this? It'll help.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, like I say all the time, even at the beginning of the season, what you guys have to do for all the teams out there, not just the Rakens, keep it simple. If you don't have the strongest arm, don't try to throw deep every play. It's not going to work out. Take the 5-yard hooks.
And I mean, I wouldn't even recommend throwing deep every play, even if you have the strongest arm.
Yeah.
In reality, it's the easiest thing to defend. To take with deep ball.
It is, but you see, I find a lot of quarterbacks, especially the Div E quarterbacks, who maybe it's their first time playing at that position. They figure, you know what, I toss it around in the park, or I toss it around with some friends. I can throw it deep, I can air it out. No, you know what? That's not going to help you unless you're supremely accurate and you have some really top-notch receivers. Chances are, as Pease was just saying, that's the easiest pass to defend. So take the short passes, get some chemistry with your receivers, get some chemistry and some continuity in your offense, be able to move the chains, pick up first downs, and get some points on the boards. Take what the defense gives you. Don't overthink things.
Chapman, can you look up if Rakens are good listeners?
I can.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
By the way, they like cotton candy.
Do they?
Yeah. Well, they failed at eating it. There was a video posted on YouTube a while back where there was a Raken trying to essentially eat cotton candy, but they put their food in water first, so it kept disappearing. So after like the third time he figured it out, he's like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to eat this.
The Rakens specifically put their own food in water.
Yeah, they wash it, man.
Like they're
cleanly animals. Yeah, I know. You find them in trash.
They're always eating trash. Yeah. Is why I'm curious about this.
And so what am I looking up again? Do they listen?
Are they good listeners? No, unlike you, are they good listeners?
I forgot. I listened the first time.
Moss City have beat the Rakens and Here for Beer in blowouts. Has this inflated their image as a solid team? Because they beat 2 bad teams.
Yeah, they definitely beat 2 bad teams for sure. I mean, just going back to my article last week,
which we'll touch on.
Yeah, it's okay. You know what? Yeah,
and I haven't prepared for the segment either. So
is he like shamelessly like just plugging himself right
now? No,
but
I'm actually going to do that to allow him to plug his article while using that as a platform to talk trash about brands.
Yeah, but you know what it is?
It's a compliment. I compliment him while insulting him. Go ahead.
All right, from my city, as I wrote even last week, I mean, they have a good defense. I mean, they haven't given up more than 19 points in a game. But speaking on the other side of that, like you said, it's a matter of who they've beaten. Here for beer, I mean, they're a hard-working team, and they are getting better. I mean, they actually got their first win of the season over the Little Giants, which we'll get to in a little bit. But, I mean, they beat, okay, let's see here. Here for beer and the Rackins. I mean, they lost to the Little Giants, and they just lost a tight one in week 1 to the West Little squad. So, for me, there's some talent on the team, but they need to beat some bigger teams.
That's what I'm saying. The two challenging games, the two games they lost by close margins, and their two blowout wins were against bad teams. So I think they just might be like a very average team who just happen to have the luck of having two cupcakes on their schedule. And do Rakins like cupcakes? Also look that up.
I will look it up.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't like cupcakes?
I agree, but I'll waste my time.
I need to know. I got to know. Spartans beat Le Choix du Président in a very close game, and once again, we never know what to make of Le Choix du Président one week or another. I guess much like a presidency not far from us. But new rusher Sumi Shan doesn't appear on the score sheet, didn't have a number, but he recorded 2 sacks in his first game in FPF. I was talking to James Dandry after the game. He filled in for us for Game of the Week. By the way, Division E Game of the Week.
Yep.
We'll touch on that game as well. If you haven't had a chance to look, great job. Thank you, James, for filling in for Lance Daniel. But we were talking, so we talked a little bit about Game of the Week, and we talked a little bit about his game. And then James started sending me a list of bizarre messages that I think were intended for his team. Because they were very congratulatory to everyone not named Peas and a lot of guys who are on the Spartans roster. And one of them was to Anthony Cicchetti, sorry. And he said something to the effect of, Tony, which I guess is short for Anthony, that interception, you were hungry. I guess Nonna's not feeding you those meatballs, which I thought was amazing. I don't know if James wants me sharing that, but I thought that was one of the greatest sentiments. It's cool to see them as such a close-knit unit. Nicolas Lefebvre on the other side for Le Choix du Président, is he the most underrated defender in Division E? He had an interception in this game.
He's a good defender. I don't know if I want to say, at least right now, that he's the most underrated. I mean, there's a lot of good defenders in this division, but he's up there. I say definitely. I mean, he had a good game. He's been kind of the one consistent force, I guess you could say, for Le Choix du Président. I mean, if he keeps this play up, even offensively, he had a good game as well with 2 TDs. But on the defensive end, if he can keep this consistency level up, he definitely could be in the shot, maybe even for a Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, and just very athletic. They play a lot of 4-1 and a lot of weak 4-1 where the outside guys don't really lock particularly well. But he patrols deep so well that he makes up for where the team was lacking. So if your quarterback is able to attack intermediate, we see Le Choix du Président really struggle on defense. But if your quarterback likes to take shots deep, you'll see it, you'll want to take it, and then he just closes the gap so quickly.
And I think what's odd about this game, just looking at both teams, I mean, you look at the first half score, it was 20-6 for the Spartans. The fact that they got shut out in the second half, obviously Lefebvre definitely played a huge part in that. But the Spartans were a team who, I know when I put them in my pretenders part of the article last week in the quarterly report.
Would you stop spoiling the next segment?
But
I did you a solid. I put your article as a segment. So for those who haven't read it, cross promotion, we got you, and you're ruining the surprise for everyone.
I apologize. I just want to speak to the point you're talking about James Dandrick. I had a chance to talk to him too, and he was really fired up. And you know what? Their backs were against the wall, and this is their first full game for Alex Bissett. So it kind of just shows us a little something about the Spartans in terms of they could get that victory. Maybe they might have slept on the shoulder President a bit, possibly. But again, their backs were against the wall, and they came out with the W. So that's
and again without their top receiver in the shoulder President. You guys, Striking Samurais, you lose to Face Jazz after non-stop talking trash about Face Jazz and how they weren't very good. Blah 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 blah. Kevin Marcel. Only 4 completed passes, 4 interceptions. What happened?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I actually didn't play in that game.
That's why you guys
lost. That could be what happened. Yeah. That could be it.
I'm sure you have a group chat, however, for the team.
You know what it was? Kevin actually got injured during the week. He had told me after I talked to him after the game, and he was talking to some of the receivers that were playing. He got injured at work. He had hurt his throwing shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a tough guy. We both know him a little well, and he doesn't want to miss the game. So he came out, and obviously it wasn't one of his better performances. But his problem was, or at least I was told by some of the guys, were he was still trying to go deep, and he wasn't connecting on anything, as you can see by that 4 for 17 mark. And they had a lot of chances, the Striking Samurais, to pull that one out, and they fell a little short. They also lost Eddie Lee to injury as well in that game.
Well, Eddie, I saw him during the ICU game, and I was talking to him in Division D, and he was telling me he was really not feeling well, really sore.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he'll be back and if he'll be back next week or whatnot. So hopefully.
Hopefully. I know he missed our game in C the next night on Monday. We were down at Stade de Soccer playing, so he missed that game, and basically it's a bad shoulder, bad finger. But like you said, we'll see what happens.
Face Jazz are not the most explosive offense in the division. Is this the kind of games that they'll need to win? Grinding games where quarterbacks are struggling? Is this the only way they can win?
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, even going back to last spring, they weren't blowing anybody out. They weren't letting up the scoreboard either. And we've seen so far, at least this season, point total wise, they dropped 31 against the Rackins in week 1, and against you guys, they got up to 30, even though they lost 34-30.
One was a pick six as well, though, so it wasn't even the offense.
Yeah, well, that's exactly.
It pads the score as well.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, they don't score.
One was a pick six, and one was a late score where it was just.
Yeah, the game was already decided.
The game was done.
There you go. So ideally, if you really want to break it down realistically, I should say, they score about 2, maybe 3 touchdowns a game if they're lucky.
Yeah.
So tight defensive games are what they're gonna have to do to get W's.
Tight defensive game was also the worst game of the week of all time. It was borderline unwatchable, as Vinny Galano agrees in the distance. Was it the worst game of the week you've ever seen, Brent? Or do you have one off the top of your mind that was way worse?
Off the top of my head, no. You know what?
It'd be hard to find one, I would imagine. 12-6. For those who are not aware, 12-6 for Dirty Mike and the Boys over Pardon My Swag.
I had a chance to talk to a couple guys from Dirty Mike and the Boys. That's actually how they like it. They like getting dirty, if you will. Dirty. Yeah, exactly. They're a defensive team. Jordan Allard obviously is the captain, and he built his team from the D on out. So for him, keeping a high-scoring offense, like Part of My Swag, holding them to a touchdown, is pretty huge. And I can't lie, being a tackle football player playing defense, that was my forte. So a tight defensive game like that is something I could appreciate. But again, these guys have been playing suffocating defense all season. Yeah, Dirty Mike and the Boys. So I am surprised that they held Part of My Swag to 1 touchdown, but I'm not surprised that it wasn't a high-scoring game overall.
What can you tell me about their defenses? You mentioned they've been doing it all season. What specifically makes them so prolific?
I think it's 2 off-season additions. You get a guy like Derek Fontana. He's been huge for that team. Great
receiver too. He dropped the ball for a touchdown, mind you, but still very valuable player.
Well, there you go. There's him. There's Jonathan McQueen, another guy that Jordan added this offseason as well. A little bit of high division experience as well. So those 2 guys have come in. Valentin Hoya. Hope I'm pronouncing that properly.
Chapman, is he pronouncing it properly?
Hoya or Hoyu?
I can't see the name right now, but let's go with yes.
All right.
Okay, there you go.
Also, by the way, since you've given me the mic right now, raccoons do like cupcakes.
Sorry, which animal?
Raccoons, Rakins.
Rakins,
my apologies. It was mislabeled in the YouTube video I watched.
You want to misspeak our team's name. It's ridiculous.
Listen, the Rakin actually broke through the walls and was grabbing the cupcake trays.
Okay.
As his owner was yelling at him to not make cupcakes, so they're not good listeners.
So we learned from this they really like cupcakes and they're not very good listeners. Okay, now we know. Sorry, Brent. Sorry to interrupt. That was very important.
Yeah, I'm saying
extremely important.
Valentin Hoya had a game high 8 tackles to go along for picks. So it's those 3 guys along with guys like Tyler Dissett and just obviously the overall
he's impressive.
Play. Yeah, very impressive.
I saw in the game of the week. You see him at one point. Shade the post and then come back to the wheel, anticipating the throw being to the wheel, and great interception. Avery Lala, young quarterback, very young. I'm not even sure he's allowed to be playing FPF young. But what do you think he takes from this game, having thrown 3 interceptions?
Hopefully, just uses it as motivation and as a learning experience. I mean, He came in week 11 in the winter season from FPF Junior, playing for part of my swag, and just tore it up all the way through the playoffs, making the semifinals. And he's come back so far, at least this early portion of the season has been good. For him, I think it's just a stumbling block. It could just be one bad game against an elite defense. Obviously, time will tell. As they have a couple of tough matchups coming up. Hot Boys Hotline is one of them. But again, he has the smarts, he has the athleticism, he has the arm to make all the throws. So I think for him to just be a speed bump, at least for now.
You mentioned Hot Boys Hotline. They were second in voting for Game of the Week. We should have chosen Hot Boys Hotline Smoking Axles because that would look to be a much more entertaining game. Hot Boys Hotline beat the Smoking Axles 32-24. Edward Valme, 3 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. Is he the biggest off-season pickup in the entire Division E for any team?
There. Again, some of the guys I just mentioned, like Derek Fontana and McQueen, are some guys as well. Eddie Lee with the Striking Samurais. I'm not trying to be biased, but it is what it is. He's a great player both ways. But Valme is definitely up there on that list.
Just because when you think of how bad the Hot Boys Hotline offense was in Division 5B, so I know they moved down division, but not at moments. There are moments where it looks explosive, and Edward Valme is a big part of that, and contribute on defense as well.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, both sides of the ball, he brings that explosive, that playmaking factor to their lineup. But I mean, they also have guys with experience, and guys that can make plays, like Vadim Shirnak, obviously the quarterback Tom Gatehouse, Eagle. There's guys that can make plays for them. So does Valme bring a certain difference maker aspect, if you will, to the team? Definitely. It's gonna be interesting to see how they go, because this, in my opinion, Smoking Axle lost with their first game against a legitimate championship contending team, and obviously Hot Boys Hotline coming out on top. One question though, I mean, one thing I have to point out about that is I would tip my hat to Jordan Rossi. I had a chance to talk to him right after that game, and he took all the blame for that loss.
So here's the thing: is Jordan Rossi had one of those games where he makes a lot of mistakes. Given all his knowledge and given his ability, because he's tremendously talented, why does this happen to him once now and again?
It's a good question. I think it's the fact that he started in FPF, playing some receiver, playing some DB, and he's been quarterback now for a couple of seasons, but he's not a guy that's been doing it, as long as, let's say, someone, I don't know, like a Kevin Wyeth or someone like Paul up here, guys that have been entrenched in the quarterback position for a long time and have been used to playing that position for a long time. Rossi's still kind of learning the ropes, if you will, a little bit, I think. And so you're going to get some of those mistakes.
Similarly, as Gab Wiseman of Super Troopers, they beat Homo Sapiens 26-18, and Gab Wiseman returns. In my previous league-wide, I said that they didn't need him. He can stay in Italy, and the picture looked beautiful. I was a little bit jealous on my end, and that I am in desperate need of vacation. Yeah. Is this just what the Super Troopers needed, his return? And, of course, we see Zach Swern having 9 catches while the rest of the team has 10 combined.
Well, definitely. I mean, his return to the lineup is coming at the right time. They came off of a big win last week, and now they made it 2 in a row. I actually thought the Homo Sapiens were going to come out on top of this one, and I don't want to say they dominated them, but, I mean, pretty much, they kind of had their way with them. Francois Delory, who's been phenomenal, I think, at quarterback this season so far. He came out and had a pretty average game, 3 TDs with 3 interceptions. And if you look on the other side with Wiseman, in the first game back since the winter season playoffs, 3 for 4 touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Obviously, the connection with Zach Swarm, who I think is the best receiver in this division, or maybe even, I'll say best two-way player. I can see the hate mail coming already. But Swarm,
I love that we arm ourselves because we know. I said one thing kind of by accident, so now someone's going to be angry with me.
Yeah, note to self, never forget to put the Expendables in any sort of list and that, because then you hear about it afterwards. But, yeah,
they have not yet to reach out to me, so maybe they're not listening to this podcast.
It was comical, but it was iron net. Anyways, with Zach Swarm, I mean, what more can you say? I mean, they've had 4 different quarterbacks, and no matter who they put in there behind center, he's produced. So, and again, he came through in a big way for their team.
Yeah. Speaking of Expendables, they get their first win. Montreal Raiders were only 5. Wait, the Expendables have 2 wins or 1 win?
No, they have 2 now.
My mistake. So 2 wins, which way more than they weren't able to win a game last season. So just the fact they were able to win too. Already a successful season.
Yeah.
It's already growth. So nowhere to go but up for them. You can't control the fact that only 5 guys showed up to play against you. So all good. Do what you gotta do. And they look good. It's good practice anyway. It's a good way to get timing with your receivers. And kudos to Montreal Raiders for showing up anyway. For playing with 5, because it's not an easy thing to do. It's somewhat embarrassing at times, but at least you allowed for the game to continue and you made it a show for everyone.
Well, that's exactly it. You don't want to waste your own time, the other team's time, the referees. I mean, everyone shows up. You know what? May as well play. You're paying for it anyway, so why not? But it's going back over to the Expendables. I mean, I had an issue, I guess you could say, with one of their players, Leslie Dejoie, was calling me up for just, I made an honest mistake. I forgot to include them in my article, so I reposted it, and I included their entry in the quarterly report. Pardon me.
So also, a thing that happens, we unfairly get compared to, for example, ESPN, where they have a slew of full-time employees who research and edit, and other than me, nobody else in our league has an editor. And the reason why I have an editor is because I drink heavily, and reading my article would be impossible without an editor. It would not even be English. Thank you, Justin Blanchard, for all the marvelous work you do. But the thing is that, it's to be expected to a degree, because we do want to convey that level of professionalism. But it's a double-edged sword that at times we're going to forget stuff, and it's never done on purpose.
Exactly.
So if that happens, guys from Expendables or whoever else, if we forget to talk about you, if we forget to include you in an article, if Simon makes a mistake discussing the playoff implications, please feel free to let us know, and we will do our best to rectify that immediately.
And I will say this, you know what? I'm glad that Leslie shot me the email. I appreciate it, because his team needs to be included in there, which is fine. Questioning whether I take them seriously or not.
Yeah,
that's something else. Yeah.
They're not expendable. Maybe that's a bad choice of name, guys. Maybe you should have thought about that before you called yourself the Expendables.
Or we call them a team who toss a little bit, even though they haven't been that many great teams, but whatever. Again, looking at the record, 2-2. It is a big win over the Montreal Raiders. It is what it is. You play who's on your schedule, right?
Yeah.
Have to beat at least a middle of the pack team, in my opinion, to be taken more seriously. Yeah. That's not why they were left out the article. Again, honest mistake.
They're two separate issues.
Definitely two separate issues things. For sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, a win's a win. But again, beat the Little Giants, beat us the Striking Samurais, beat the Smoking Ocelots. Then you really get my attention and other people's attention around the league. Beating up on teams who I think have combined for 1 win.
Yeah.
Doesn't really say much.
No, for sure. Chapman, need you to look up whether or not Burt Reynolds was in the Expendables. Also be ready with something later.
What?
You'll see in a second. Pension plan take on DGC. They win 47-7. DGC continues to struggle despite adding basically all 2.5 Dans to their roster at different points of the season. So they have Fody Evangelista and Joey Taylor. Mm-hmm. That's a good enough receiving core there alone to win games Division E. I guess the issue still stems from the quarterback position.
It definitely stems from the quarterback position, because, I mean, if you look at this game, it was Nicholas Borelli again, 5 for 18. He had 3 picks. I mean, it was more than half of his passes went to the other team. But it's a bit surprising, because if you go back to last year, Joey Taylor, and obviously Fody has been on the team the whole season, but Joey subbed in for them a little bit last year, and he put up some decent numbers with DGC. Looking right here, he had 3 receptions for 65 yards in the game, and I believe the game that he played, they actually won last year. So it's a bit surprising to see them struggle adding Taylor to the lineup. I mean, say what you will about him as a quarterback, he's a pretty decent receiver. He can make plays.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely. I think we're running actually short on time. Chap, I have no idea how we're doing on time, by the way.
Oh, I haven't checked it. I've been working on the games of the week screen this whole time.
Oh, nice.
So. And also, he is not on in the Expendables, but I saw several posts on.
He should be.
He should be. Yes. There was several. Yeah, I don't know if the Expendables 3 has been released yet or not, but essentially they're like, he should be part of the cast for Expendables 3.
He should be. He's the only one who's not expendable, in my opinion.
He's being expended. Damn it!
How do you leave out the bandit? So we're gonna get to the next segment in a sec. Before that, I'll just drop some quick notes on the games we didn't cover. Here for the beer, upset of the week. Agreed?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So they beat Little Giants 14-6. Then we have just for the reps beating West Dalal squad.
No, other way around. West Dalal.
Oh, sorry, West Dalal. My mistake. I even notes in my notes correctly. I just can't read. West Dalal squad beats just for the reps. I have the question here. Do you think Kevin St. Pierre can be a number one receiver? Just yes or no?
Yeah.
All right. You seem very sure about that.
Look at his numbers.
Yamajo Station go on to beat One Speed Power. Chap, of course, not ready. Going to beat
I told you what I was doing. It's like you don't listen.
I don't care. I don't want excuses. They go on to beat One Speed Power 39-19. I was very impressed by the speed in Yamajo. Fastest team. They are a running team, the running crew, so that's why. Mike Adana came to sub for One Speed Power. Left the game, had to go to a hospital. So best wishes to him. Yep. Separated shoulder at the AC joint. Hopefully he'll be back before season's done. You have anything, Brent, or just a point?
I was going to say, Mike Adana, I believe he plays
Division C and Division D for Show Me Your TD's Division C.
Thank you, yeah.
And Division 2 D2 Ravens. He's quarterback of Show Me Your TD, so that's going to be a pain. And snapper for Ravens. So that's, I mean, you don't want to lose anyone.
Yeah.
But definitely, it's Brusher also
especially
on
Ravens. When you're subbing, yeah.
You know, and especially in a game where you're subbing, of course, you can be hurt at any time. It's an unfortunate reminder. 4th and 20, lose to Primetime. Primetime rusher Thibaut Baudet, also injured, was not there, did not seem to matter. And I think that wraps up all our games. Oh, yeah, and Avocados lose to the Farmers. Chapman, who are Farmers?
We are farmers. Dum 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 dum.
And you know what? I'll say something quickly about that.
Good, let me bring up your article.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Seamless.
Leaving a little stain in the bed, if you will. A little bit interesting, actually. After the Farmers Los Avocados game on field number 1 in Broussard last night, we had TBA and Greendale Human Beings. And there's a little bit of little action after that game.
Really?
Yeah. Number 10, I just want to find his name, pardon me, for the Farmers. I think it was Mathieu Guindon. Let me just double check that.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
He had an interception that game as well.
Yeah, he had an interception. Basically, the TBA who was warming up in the end zone kind of got in his way as he was trying to run it back. And then there was a lot of trash talking where he was yelling at them and they were yelling at him that you weren't going to run it back for a pick six anyways. So basically, long story short, what happened is he remembered that obviously he stuck around after the game. And as soon as GHB got done blowing out TBA, Greendale Human Beings got done blowing out TBA, he was mouthing off to the TBA sideline and went down to their bench and was getting in their faces. And, not exactly the classy act you want to see here in FPF. I understand, you're a little bit happy. The team, it's a team you're going against. You want to talk a little trash, but, you got to keep it classy.
Greendale Human Beings, GHB, TBA. 2 acronyms. Got another one. DBD. Don't be douchebags. Straight. That's all it is.
Pardon me. No, Maxime Pavin. It's Maxime Pavin.
Yeah.
Me. Sorry.
You don't? I apologize. Pavin, you're a jerk face. So you have in your article here, Brent. By the way, Brent's article posted last week late. I yelled at some guy I thought was you from a distance, and then as I got close, I realized that wasn't you, and he was very confused as to why I was yelling at him about an article he never had to write in the first place. But anyway, you sort of did what a lot of us do in week 5, which is sort of like a mid-season-ish breakdown. You looked at each team and you looked at the performance so far. And a lot of us will grade them. You actually put them into tiers. And the tiers that you have are the rest, the pretenders, let's wait and see, and the contenders.
Yes,
and in the pretenders, one of the teams you have here for beer, having won a game now and now standing at 1-3, does that change your opinion about them, or do you still have them ranked as a team that's really not going to be able to make much noise?
Well, I mean, they did knock off one of the heavyweights, if you will, in the Little Giants, who were coming into that game undefeated. I said about here for beer, the trouble was scoring points and then stopping teams from scoring points on them. If you look at their game against here for, against Little Giants, they had trouble scoring points, only scoring 2 touchdowns, but they only gave up 6 points. That's a season low for them. So I figured, you know what? I got to tip my hat to them. Again, like I always say with this article, I like when you guys prove me wrong. I'm not trying to stand up and say I know everything. I think I know a decent amount. But if I write something and you guys prove me wrong, it's even better for you and it's even better for the league. So why not? And Here for Beer definitely did that this past week.
For sure. You have also in the same section, you have the pension plan, now 2-2. With Vince Pisano at quarterback, does that, because he seems to be now the official quarterback for the team, does that change your opinion of the team? Vince Pisano having a little bit more accuracy than a lot of guys Division E, a little bit of an older player, a lot of experience. That's a nice way of saying a little bit older player. I'm one of those guys who has a lot of experience.
He's obviously a good player. I mean, former player for Victoria's Secret, so he's been around. He knows how to win. He knows how to put up some points. I think out of all the different options they have on the roster for quarterbacks, he probably is the best option. But one player who's really stood out to me so far is Anthony Sigia. He had a huge game.
Sigia,
my bad.
It's a weird Italian name.
CJ, I apologize, sir. But anyways, he had a good game. He coming off a couple of touchdowns, a couple of interceptions. So, I mean, if he could maintain his level of play, if Pisano can be productive with the ball, not turn it over, they have a good chance of racking up a couple more wins.
So what you're saying is you're wrong.
I could very well be. I could very well be, and that's my point. That's what I want to be about this.
So let's wait and see. Interestingly, you left Expendables off this list, but they made your let's wait and see. So it's a team you kind of want to see a little bit before you make a final decision. You included Yamajao on this list. I got to say, I was actually very impressed with them. Just the amount of speed and size. If Terrence Dobson is even close to, because he was on against us, if he's even close to half that good, this will be a good team.
And see, but that's the thing, is a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. Sitting here with Mo last week, we were talking about them, and I think he had a horrible game last week. Let me check who are they playing. Pardon me.
Is it part of my swag?
Yeah, was it part of my swag? Quick check on that. Yamajo, they played last week. Yeah. No, sorry, it was just for the reps.
Just for reps, that's it.
Just for the reps, and he put up 7 points. He had 7 points, and he was 6 of 21. So, I mean, it's hot and cold games there. You know, just for the reps, they're a veteran team, but they're not really that impressive. And the fact that he put up 7 against a team like that, what does that tell you? But then he comes out the week after, and he dropped 39 points, I believe it was on you guys.
Yeah,
so 39 points. So, I mean,
Thanks,
it's a lot of up and down. I apologize, guys. I apologize, Chapman.
Better be sorry.
A lot of up and down. I want some consistency. That's what I like to see out of him and your team.
Chapman, look up the appropriate steps for me to challenge Brent Botkin to a duel.
Yo, dude, it's clearly quite simple. Get a white glove, take it off, and slap him in the face.
Right.
I'm not looking it up.
Look it up.
Okay, listen, we're running over time, so speed it up.
All right. Hot Boys Hotline, now that they're 4-0 and having beaten the Smoking Axholes, does that change your opinion?
Yeah, it does. They finally beat like a legitimate team. No disrespect to them, but they were a quiet team coming in 3-0. Like I said in the article, I was surprised to see that they were undefeated. I hadn't had a chance to really watch them yet this year. But again, a huge victory over the Smoking Axolotl. So let's see where they can go after this one.
Spartans make the next category in the Pretenders. You don't think that James Dandria is a good enough quarterback to really, truly dominate in Division E?
No, I didn't say that at all, actually. I think he is a good quarterback. My problem with them is they choke in the playoffs. They're usually 1 and done, 2 and done at the most.
Okay. I mean, last time, the first season they lost to Trinity, who were a juggernaut and still blowing out teams now, a division higher. And likely would be blowing out teams in Division D1 as well. So, I mean, they're on their way there.
Probably.
They there's a player on their roster in Trinity who now plays for Montreal's finest. So that's the level of team they lost to in the first season. Second season, I'll give it to you. Rough season. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, they're also back now down into Division E. So last time we saw in Division E, the only team that could beat them and beat them twice was Trinity.
You know what, though? I saw a playoff game against Part of My Swag. I believe it was last spring where Brad Evans was playing quarterback, and I think Brad is a good guy. He's not the greatest quarterback, and he made a ton of mistakes.
Great shirts. Yeah. Great collection.
That's true. He made a ton of mistakes in that game, and they were trying to go toe for toe. The Spartans ended up, I believe, pulling up. No, they lost. Yeah, they lost that game too. They lost against.
This was in the winter, though. No?
Yeah, it's part of the winter against part of my swag, and it was just part of my swag did not bring their A game, at least in the first half of that one, and the Spartans still couldn't take advantage of that, despite having superior athletes and a lot of speed on their team.
Finally, in the top tier, you have the contenders, TBA. Even given how poorly they played this week, do you think Clay Sekera and TBA are good enough to compete for a championship division?
I think Clay Sekera is good enough. I'm not too sure about the rest of his team, and I think the secret's out. Whoever had a chance to watch that game last night in Broussard, what you have to do is you have to get after Clay, the rusher for Greendale Human Beings, Darren. I can never pronounce his last name properly. McGillisan? McDazian, sorry.
Darren McDazian.
McDazian, pardon me. I apologize, sir. He got after Sekera all game long, causing him to throw way before he wanted to, throw off of his back foot. That's where a lot of those incompletions from Sekera came from. And the GHB defense took away the deep ball. I mentioned earlier in the show their good coverage on the deep ball. And what ended up happening was TBA was starting to argue amongst themselves, starting to yell at each other after almost every single
That's
play.
not productive.
Yeah, and they were giving up play after play after play. You would think after the third touchdown they would decide to cover Brandon Aylward, but they gave up a fourth touchdown as well. And Danny Aylward, pardon me, as we said, just shredded that defense. And that's the side of the ball that I had concern with them. I mentioned it in the article, is that defensive side, and they showed last night against a pretty good offense. They couldn't get any stops.
Well, for those who haven't read it yet, it's a lot of information, but every team in the division, now that you've included the Expendables, has been included. Brent, great article, as always.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, I was going to say you've worked with us as Red for a long time. Then again, I still haven't fired Steph Fens, who hasn't been here since week 1 of the season. So, I mean, maybe we just keep guys around. Just kidding, obviously. But again, I really do look forward to reading your articles every week. Chap, we know now that DBD stands for Don't Be Douchebags. Do you have an acronym for us this week in this week's chapternums?
Oh, you guys want to do it this week? I thought we're running late, so we're going to skip it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
okay, fine. Let's go with ACS.
ACS. Always colloquially Simo.
That was very
Just because he's in my purview, he's in the background over here.
purview.
And he's very colloquial. He doesn't have any new ideas. Just says whatever cliches.
Old ideas and
like.
cliches, yes. Brent?
That was a tough one. I don't know why.
It was pretty tough, man. It was pretty tough.
Can't make it easy on you guys.
All cash Saturdays. When I come around Saturday, I want my cash.
I vote Brent.
I'm done. I like that one too.
Oh,
All right.
I'm honestly shocked you didn't go with Sundays, but it's a good thing we're not
It's a
giving.
day of rest, my friend. It's my day off. It's
I
my
know.
day off.
I meant
Can't
like
be
the
making
church and
cash.
giving money, but no. We want our monies.
And that brings us to your favorite segment.
Games of the week.
All right, let's do it.
In our first game,
Let's
we
get it.
have Pardon My Swag versus Hot Boys Hotline.
That's going to be my pick for game of the week. I'm going to go with part of my swag in the bounce back victory.
Little Giants versus The Expendables.
Expendables feeling good, but Little Giants have been playing big despite their loss this week. I say Little Giants. Look for Sergio Sicoli, 2 touchdowns.
We Are Farmers, dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum, versus Dirty Mike and the Boys.
It's going to be interesting, man.
Nope, it won't.
nah,
Go ahead. Please tell me why you're pretending like it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting because of Corey Greenaway, dominant player on the offensive side of the ball for the Farmers. Had a big game in the W this past week against Los Avocados, going up against who I think is the best defense in Div E and Dirty Mike and the Boys. I'm going to say Dirty Mike and the Boys, but you know what, Jordan? If you guys craft a bet in this one, I'm never going to let you forget about it because every week so far that I picked against them, we have a game we play together and see, oh, you should have picked us, pick against us, you see what happens, blah, 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 blah. Better come through with the W.
And they will lose.
Yeah.
Homo sapiens versus Greendale Human Beings.
I'm going to say Greendale Human Beings will get out to a lead. Homo sapiens can't play from behind. Therefore, Greendale Human Beings.
Next game, Just for the Reps versus The Pension Plan.
You know, Pension Plan coming off a big W. I'm going to say they make it 2 in a row.
Smokin' Axles versus Super Troopers.
I'm going to go with Smoking Axles. They're going to be angry after their defeat. And Super Troopers just seem to have something missing.
Montreal Raiders versus Rakins.
Oof, nobody watched this game. Wow. I mean, it'll be good. You can take it.
If this is I don't know, the NFL, whatever, it'd be who's gonna throw this game on purpose to.
This would be a Thursday game.
Yeah, exactly. It should be the Jets and the Bills coming at you.
Both in green.
Yeah. So who's gonna get that first overall pick? I want to go with the Montreal Raiders. I love the uniform, and they do have some playmakers on the team. If they could find a quarterback, that would help. But you know what? Why not the Raiders?
420 Blazed versus Moss City.
420 Blazing right now has not been a very good team. Moss City beats bad teams. I would not be surprised to see Moss City 420 Blazing.
Sons of Mitches versus Lost Avocados.
They've lost avocados.
They're not found.
Yeah,
They're
lost
found.
again. Exactly.
They're found avocados now.
No.
keep it
After last week's
insane.
performance, I think they're lost.
They're lost again?
Exactly, Chapman. Exactly. You know what? I think they want to be taken seriously. They got to not only come through with a W, they got to come through with a convincing W. That being, of course, Los Avocados. So I'm going to go with them for getting the win this week.
Face Jazz versus Here for the Beer.
Face Jazz have a lot of really top-end defenders. Look for Joshua Hidalgo Trevildo. Trevildis. Man.
Trevildo, huh?
Trevildo. Look for Trevildo to make a play.
Classy.
No, for Joshua Hidalgo Trevildo to make a big play on defense. Him, Akeem Bailey, Eddie Rousseau, all guys are tall, athletic. I expect one of them, but specifically Josh. I think Face Jazz win this one going away.
DGC versus One Speed Power.
This fell perfectly. Brent?
You know what? I think you guys are going to get the W. You guys need
Jesus,
the
I
W.
hope so.
It's going to be a bounce-back win, I think, for you guys against a struggling DGC team.
I don't have it queued up, so I'm going to say it myself. Yamajo
Jesus.
Station
Oh
versus
my God.
Primetime.
But you're in control of this
fired.
segment.
You're done.
You're in control.
Where's Mo? Where's Mo? Get Mo in
Seriously.
here.
We don't need Mo. He's gone.
Primetime have some nice pieces overall. That said, I don't think they have the size and speed to compete with Yamajo Station. This game is going to be a lot uglier than they expect. It'll be close first half, bad second half. Yamajo Station, big one.
TBA versus Friday Night Tykes.
I feel bad for Friday Night Tights. I like them. I think they're a team that will get better as the season goes along. They have some talent. But TBA is going to be mad. They're going to be pissed off after that embarrassing show last night at Broussard. I think TBA is going to win in resounding fashion Monday night.
Le Choix du Président versus West Little Squad.
Should I take this one since I'm not?
It's
gonna
up to
take
you
it
guys
next
if you
game?
want to.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. West Little Squad. Again, I played against them a few weeks ago. They got some talent. Le Choix du Président. It's like Gabriel. But on that point, we'll have one good game like he had this past week, and then we'll have a game where it's like, why is this guy playing quarterback? And he had a good game last week. So
bad week.
the money says he's going to be bad. I hope I'm wrong. 100% I hope I'm wrong.
Unless we got money on it, in which case we
exactly.
don't.
You're right.
I'm gonna go with West Little Squad. I think to pull out the W.
And in our last game, we have Spartans versus Striking Samurais.
We already know that Anthony Cicchetti did not get his meatballs from his nonna. He's going to be hungry on defense. Kevin Marshall's not healthy quarterback. James Andrea is healthy quarterback. I choose Spartans. I do not choose Striking Samurais in the Battle of Ancient Warriors.
That was our last game. I said it before.
I know. What are your final thoughts?
Oh, I have
I,
final
just,
thoughts?
I landed that joke. I was kind of waiting for it to sit, and then
I mean, the setup's a little bit new. Next week, I will have the sound effects queued in. And
maybe a timer so you can produce the show and tell me when I'm going too long on recaps.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Brent, final thoughts?
Check out the quarterly report if you haven't. It's my
my
Division E article. Check it out. It's pretty good.
Someone's got to stop this guy from plugging his article. It's getting a little excessive now.
Seriously.
It's too much self-promotion in one show.
What can I say? What can I say, man? What can I say?
Am I going for one, going for two? I will go for two. Firstly, I played at the Stade de Montréal this week, as I do most weeks. And I was speaking to one of the guys who works there. He reminded me to tell players, make sure you pick up water bottles and so on and so forth. I know it's difficult sometimes because we run from game to game if you have more than one game one night. But look, DBD, that's the key tonight. Don't be douchebags. You drop a bottle of water, pick it up, throw it out.
Take 2 seconds.
Seriously, I don't take a dump on your floor, although I might. And then my other point I want to say, if you're going to have a producer, make sure you get one that tells time. Thank you, Chapman.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Very welcome, actually.
Thank you to the live studio audience. And thank you to Brent for all the wonderful work you do. Stephans, thank you for staying away because clearly we don't need you. But most of all, thank you all for letting me be myself. Wow. So fired. The music hasn't started yet. There we go.